Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been so long since I have been on here. It has been a crazy year and I'm so excited to finally get back on here and start sharing my journey with you guys, videos, everything, all the things motherhood. As you can see, we have a new face here. This is little Noah. Noah was born in September of 2025. And today's video is actually going to be more so about him and his journey this far. Noah has had a very rocky start to life, unfortunately, and so I'm going to share a little bit of what's been going on with him with you guys, just to kind of share his journey with you guys, as well as just in case anyone else out there is going through similar stuff. We can try to kind of help each other out because it's been a very, very rough time for both of us. Noah was actually born by emergency C-section last September. He was born very healthy. He was 6 pounds, 12 ounces, 38 weeks gestation. He did not need any kind of assistance after birth. He was fully prepared to come out into this world. Unfortunately, after Noah was born, I did have some pretty severe complications and ended up in ICU myself. So Noah did end up in the nursery. He did not need to go to the NICU, but he was in the nursery because I could not be with him. And he stayed there for about a week or a week and a half. And while in there, they did not mention anything that was severely wrong with Noah. He passed his hearing, all the screenings. The only thing they mentioned was he was very refluxy, which we did find out when we went home, that he was in fact very refluxy. He was being fed formula while he was in the nursery because I could not pump for him, nor could I breastfeed him. But as soon as we got home, I started pumping because that was very important for me to breastfeed him. And he became a very professional breastfeeder. He had no issues with latch. He had no issues with sucking. He was just born to do it. He was a natural. And things were really going well with him up until he was about 2.5 months old. He woke up from his sleep and he had almost like a gasping sound he was doing. And I'll attach a little video clip here for you guys to see so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But it raised enough of a alarm that we did end up taking him to the emergency room where they did all the blood work. They did an echo, they did all the scans they needed to do, and they did find that his troponin for his heart was elevated. So they did end up transporting us to the Children's Hospital where he was admitted. When he was admitted, he had the full evaluation by multiple specialists, multiple doctors, and it was determined that Noah had laryngomalacia. And it's basically where like your airway, near your voice box, there's a little hole for like the airway, but if it's flapped, he essentially had a flap over it, kind of. So they wanted to do surgery and kind of cut that flap and bring it up so that his airway is nice and open and he doesn't have any stridor breathing. He also, we discovered, had a tongue tie, which I was very surprised about because he did not seem to have any kind of latch issues, anything like that. But they weren't alarmed about it. They said, we'll go ahead and clip it while we're at it. And so he went through, about a week after his admission, he went through the surgery, which was very scary and very, disheartening, though he even had to go through that. But we were hopeful it would help him because they said he was probably putting so much effort into breathing even before we discovered it, that he was burning all the calories because they told us that he was very small. That was the other thing they told us in the ER. He is very small. And, I knew he was refluxy and that would probably cause a little bit of issues, but I just didn't really realize how small he was. And so we did the surgery. And after the surgery, unfortunately, things kind of took a turn. And I'm not going to blame the surgery. but that's just kind of the timeline wise when things kind of started taking a turn for the worst. And he stopped swallowing altogether. He stopped swallowing his saliva. He could no longer eat. And so we ultimately ended up having to put him through a second surgery and put a G-tube in. A G-tube is a tube that goes through directly into his stomach, and he gets fed by a feeding tube instead of a bottle or a nipple. They increased his calories. They changed formulas. We did everything under the moon and stars to get this little boy to gain weight, and he just was not gaining weight very well. He also had what's called microapathy, I want to say is what it's called. I'd have to look at the documents, but it's basically where you have a smaller than usual jaw and it kind of sits recessed. So they were wondering if because his jaw sat further back, if his tongue was falling back into his airway, causing the breathing stridor issues. Because I forgot to mention, after his surgery, his stridor got 10 times worse. It was so bad. So the next question was, is it the tongue? So what they wanted to do originally is do a tongue tie, essentially. Tie his tongue to his lip to keep his tongue pulled forward, which I was very frustrated about because he had a natural tongue tie that we just clipped, right? So I was like, okay, now this doesn't make any sense. So we went through a lot. Then they wanted to do a surgery of his jaw where they basically cut the jaw. They bring the jaw forward and they put clamp rods to it that stick out of his jawline here, and they crank those every so often and kind of pull the jaw together as the bone grows, and fuse that bone back together. Pretty extensive surgery, pretty major surgery, and we just could not get on board with that because our thing was, he's little. As he grows, will his jaw grow? Because this was a pretty painful, pretty major surgery that we did not want to put him through if he did not absolutely have to get put through it. So we decided to hold off, and we would continue to follow up with the craniology department to figure out, as he grows, is this something he's going to grow out of? So we put a hold on that. And as we continued our stay in the hospital, things just were not progressing in the right direction. He had so many different tests done. He had genetics testing done. He had the whole genome sequence testing done. It came back negative. It seemed like everything we were doing was coming back negative. And we just could not locate the cause of the problem, but yet he was not growing. And he was anemic. So many issues were happening. And it became very, very discouraging. And when you're constantly hearing, we don't know, like, this is such an unusual case and we just don't know, it is very disheartening. And as a parent, it is probably the most heartbreaking thing to hear, because your job is to protect your child. Your job is to help your child. And when the specialists themselves don't know how to help your child, you're kind of just left researching your own stuff and becoming Dr. Mom and just trying to figure out, okay, well, the doctors don't know this. What can I figure out? What can I bring up to them? How can I advocate for my child? So we went through multiple tests. We went through a two-month hospital stay, and just really weren't getting anything. He started having little weight gains, but it was always like 2 steps up, 1 step down, 2 steps up, 3 steps down, 2 steps up, 1 step down. Like, it was just, he was never like consistently, like, had a consistent pattern of weight gain. It was just always kind of this and then like drop and then this and then drop and this, like we were on a roller coaster ride for 2 months. So finally we ended up getting discharged because we were at the point where, I was like, if we're not going to move forward with anything, if we're just kind of at a standstill right now, then I might as well be at a standstill at home with my other children, where he's with his family, instead of in a hospital bed. So we ended up going home, following up very closely with all the specialists. And I forgot to mention, before we got discharged, about a week before, he started desatting, which was really strange for him. He had not had any breathing issues. He had not had any, any issues with desats, any of that until that week before we got discharged. And he would desat to, this 60, 70%, and would not come out of it without us having to wake him up. So we put him on oxygen, and he has been on oxygen. He would also sleep really weird with like his entire back arched and his head thrown back. I'll attach a picture so you guys can see in case your children are doing this, that you know that this is not normal at all. Like, I saw him do it, and I had never seen any of my children do it, and so I had taken pictures and brought it up to the doctor. When the doctors came to do their rounds, I said, is this normal? And they started seeing him sleeping like that, and they're like, this absolutely is not normal. So he was just showing a lot of unusual things that he was doing with no set diagnosis behind it. He also has very weak muscle tone. He is 11 months old, and we are not sitting on our own. He is does not actively play like a normal baby, and he is just now starting to try to roll from his back onto his stomach with a little bit of assistance. He needs to fully flip, but we're working on that. We go to occupational therapy and physical therapy every single week, and we are following up with geneticists and with GI, and just trying to figure out what we can do for him. He is now on continuous feeds, so he eats 26 cal at 34 mLs an hour, 24/7, and he has little weight gains at a time. Definitely not what you would consider normal, but every weight gain is a celebration with him. We are always happy to see a weight gain instead of a weight loss. So, everyone keeps going back to genetics. We all think it's genetics based. Unfortunately, what they know of genetics is just a drop in the water. There is so much that they do not know about the gene codes and the different genetic diagnoses out there. There's lots of people every year that get diagnosed with something that they weren't able to get diagnosed before, because medical advances and our knowledge in genetics and everything is advancing, and so we're able, I don't do it, but they're able to diagnose more and more people, which is amazing. So that's kind of the result we're hoping to get eventually. I think as a parent, the most heartbreaking and the scary part of everything is just the unknown. We have no prognosis. We know something isn't quite right, but we don't know what it is. And it is the most helpless feeling as a parent, because you want to help your baby and you want to advocate for your baby. You just don't know quite what the right decision is to make, because you just don't know what's wrong. So we do the best we can, right? Right now, we are actually currently trying to get him into the Undiagnosed Disease Network, which is made of incredible specialists and top-of-the-line medical equipment that can test genes and things like that in a way that other facilities cannot do. So, we are praying and praying hard for that. So that would be amazing if they could diagnose him. At this point, a diagnosis isn't necessarily going to change what we're doing, because we're doing everything we possibly can, but at least it will give us a prognosis, and at least we know what to prepare with him and what to expect, because like I said, the unknown, I think, is the scariest part of all. So we just try to live every day to the fullest with him, and just pray for him and love on him and get him any and all care that we can possibly get for him and receive for him. And until we get those answers, we'll keep fighting for him and alongside him, and that is what we do here as parents. So but I thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, I will keep you guys updated on his journey. I'm going to try to release a video every Tuesday. I may try to release one on Friday as well, but I will see how that goes. But for sure, I will be releasing a video every Tuesday. And I'm just so thankful for you guys. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, share it, so that you guys don't miss the videos, and let's get the comment sections going. I would love to know if any of you have ever been in this situation with your children, and did you guys get a diagnosis? And I hope all of you are living an amazing, beautiful life, and stay safe. And I'm excited to share more motherhood videos with you guys. And if you guys have any specific questions, recommendations, if you want me to make a Q&A video, if you guys just want me to talk about something specific, please let me know. I would love to do that for you. And until then, guys, stay safe, and we will see you in the next video. Say bye. Say bye. Can you say bye? Can you say bye? You gonna give him a smile? Are you gonna give him a smile? Bye, guys.